Hi guys, John Piccarello here. It's always a pleasure to spend a few minutes speaking with you. And today I want to talk to you about how to be a better listener. And listening goes a long way of making you a better person. And the reason for that is simple, is that when we're listening and we're hearing people, we're hearing their heart. And we learn more about people. We learn more about our surroundings from listening. In fact, even if you go for walks, just go for a walk and just listen to the sounds in your neighborhood. You'll learn a lot of things. You'll learn about routines just hearing from certain sounds the same time every day. So listening is a good educator. And what a growing leader needs is constant education. They're self-taught learners, but they're also lifelong learners. And the best way to learn is to listen. It was Bernard Baruch who said that the most successful people he knows are the ones who do more listening than speaking. And so there's a time to speak and there is a time to listen. And if you want to win friends and influence people, and there is a book by that same title, it's Learn How to Be an Active Listener. You will influence more people by listening than you can by speaking, simply because when you're listening, you hear and you understand. Your response will be better informed and on point, and you'll also be asking better questions. So being a better listener has so many benefits to it. And paying attention to people and taking some note of who's around you and understanding where they come from, where do they live. I like to read up on cities and towns, and I love cultures, different types of cultures. So whenever I come across someone who's from an area that I have read up on and thought about, I'll ask them questions about it. And what that does is two things. First, I get to hear firsthand from someone who's experienced that particular culture. Secondly, it's validating and affirming to that person that I'm asking them about their culture. So it's a two-way street, and it all happens from better listening. So paying attention to people, who they are, where they come from, goes a long way from connecting with people. Now, there's 4 facts about better listening I'd like to go through with you. They've helped me, and I'm sure they will help you. And the first is, listening requires empathy. If you don't care about the person, you're not going to listen. So listen requires empathy, and empathy enables you to understand and share in the feelings of the person who's speaking. Not only that, but by sharing in the feelings and the emotions of the person who's speaking, you are also engaging them in the conversation, because you'll respond better. You'll respond in a sense that opens their hearts and minds, that tells them you're listening. Did you know that better listeners more often have people coming to them seeking their input than people who don't listen? Simply because when you listen intently to people, it validates them and affirms them, and now they feel they can trust you. It's the best way to build trust, be a listener. And if you speak less, you won't betray your trust. So people will come back to you, and I found this time and time again, that people would come back to me not only in business, but also with personal issues, and they would just like to hear my feedback. Well, that's from anyone who's a good listener, and those of you who are can testify that what I'm telling is the truth, that you build trust by listening. So, first, listen requires empathy, and remember to be sensitive about the feelings of someone and also their mindset. You could hear it where they're coming from. So always demonstrate that you care. Secondly, that listening connects you with the other person on a much deeper level. By listening, they have the floor. And a lot of people just need to be heard. And it is so validating to have your voice heard. And that's something important to remember. Let the other people speak. And sometimes people speak, sometimes they ramble on, and I'll just listen. It doesn't matter. It's my turn to speak, will be later. And don't correct people, just listen. And you have no idea what it does for that person. You might have just made somebody's day because nobody was listening to them for 2 or 3 days. So you have no idea. So listen to people, connect with them. In order to connect with them, I look at connecting as crossing a bridge. And this is a big thing about listening. If you want to connect with people, you need to be willing to cross the bridge, meet them halfway. But if there's someone you need to connect to, sometimes you need to pay the price to go all the way across the bridge and have them walk with you back over, and you pay their toll. You're paying the price to listening. When you connect with people, you get more out of them. Not only do you validate it, and I said that several times, but I can't say it enough, it turns them around, it opens them up, and it just sets them at ease when they're with you because they trust you. So, building the bridge, go across and experience how it is on their side of the discussion. How is it in their world? How is their experience different from yours? How would you feel by putting yourself in their place? And that's why crossing the bridge is so important. You really cannot relate to a person until you stand where they're standing for a few minutes. So pay the price and go across the bridge and connect with them on a deeper level. Third is listening connects the leader to the team, and it'll connect the team to the vision. You could have a great presentation. You could have the best PowerPoint slides ever. You could have a lights out video. If you don't connect with the people, you just wasted your time and wasted theirs. But if you will connect with them and understanding how they respond, when you look at people, take note of their facial expression. Take note of their eyes. Are they locked on you? Do they wander? Do they seem disinterested? Well, if we do not connect with them, those things go by the boards and we never notice. In fact, if we do not connect with the person, we're sending a message, we're self-absorbed, and they don't matter. So don't do that. Connect with them and open them up. And you'll find that when you have a case to be made or a voice to be heard, it'll land in the proper place if you make a connection. So the first step in connecting is open people up. And the way to do that is talk about them. And then when you first talk about yourself, why not tell of a humorous story about some place where you failed? Because that sends a message, you're just like everybody else. And people relate to that, and they're open to listening to you even more. When you get up to speak, you have approximately 30 seconds before people make a decision whether they're going to listen to you or not. So make that first impression count. Connect with your people. And finally, active listening will lead to a better conversation, but it also leads to better long-term relationships. Active listening connects well with people. Active listening makes the other person the center of attention. It highlights them, and active listening educates you. It's a win-win all around, no matter how you look at it. So I want to encourage you that be a better listener. Shine the light on the other person. Highlight them. Compliment them. Show empathy. Show sympathy if it's necessary. And by all means, ask the questions that relate to what they were saying. Finally, I have to say this, don't ever change the subject. If they want to change the subject, let them do it. You be a listener, you're just along for the ride. I hope that helps you, and when it comes to the following year ahead, be a better listener. Talk to you next time.